Welcome to the regular meeting this Wednesday evening, August the 6th, 2025. I now call this meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the recording secretary please call the roll?
Yes. Chair Fields,
Present.
Vice Chair Witcher, Commissioner Chiappi, Commissioner Ocampo, Commissioner Trapp,
Present.
Youth Commissioner Jelniker, and Youth Commissioner Anapolsky.
Thank you. We are excited to be here in person with options for virtual participation. If participating in person, please complete a request to speak form and submit to the recording secretary. That's the yellow form. If participating remotely, use the raise your hand feature in Zoom and you will be called on at the appropriate time. If calling in via phone, press the *9 keys to raise your hand, and when called upon, press *6 to unmute. These options for public comment will remain available until I close the public comment period for the specific item. Finally, we welcome speakers providing public comment, but please be advised this is a limited public forum. As such, speakers must stay on topic if speaking to a particular agenda item. If speakers fail to follow these rules, they will be warned, and if they continue to disregard our rules, their opportunity to speak will be ended. Okay. Our first item is a ceremonial one, and one that I'm personally quite pleased with. It is the introduction and welcome of our newest youth commissioner, Dalia Anapolsky. I will welcome our Parks and Recreation Director, Joanne Magrini, to introduce her and say a few words.
Yes, I would like to introduce Dalia. She is a rising senior at Aragon High School, where she's a member of the cross country and track teams, as well as the biotech club. She loves running, hiking, animals, and all things science. She's currently an intern at Vitalant Research Institute in San Francisco, and she is so excited to be a Park and Rec Youth Commissioner. So welcome, Dalia.
Just turn my mic back on. This commission was the first commission to welcome youth commissioners, and we really value the input that you give. And welcome, Dalia. Would you like to say anything? A few words? No, you're great. Okay, excellent. We love to move on to the next item. The next item, so the consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve the June minutes? Excellent. Please call the roll.
And for the vote, Chair Fields,
Aye.
Vice Chair Witcher, Commissioner Chiappi,
Aye.
Commissioner Ocampo,
Aye.
and Commissioner Trapp.
Excellent. We can now move on to our next item, which is public comment. This is non-agendized public comment. Members of the public wishing to comment on any item not appearing, on the agenda may address the commission at this time. State law prevents us from taking action on any matter not on the agenda. However, your comments may be referred to staff for follow-up. Public comment is limited to a total of 15 minutes. However, an opportunity for additional public comment may be provided later in the agenda. Do we have any public comment cards for non-agendized items?
Chair Fields, we currently have one in-person public commenter. If you're on Zoom and you want to comment, please raise your hand at this time. Okay, so it looks like we just have one public commenter. Monica, you can come up to the mic.
So 3 minutes for non-agenda public comment then.
Correct.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Monica Catalan. I'm a resident of Shoreview for over 34 years. I know there's a lot of pickleballers here tonight, but I actually just started in the sport, and that brought me to Shoreview for classes through the Park and Rec. I initially took some classes at the courts and Central Park, and that was lovely. And now I've got the chance to just walk down the street from my house and go to Shoreview. The courts are really in poor condition, and I actually sent an email off to the general email today with some pictures and a video. There's cracks, there's weeds and grass growing through the cracks, there's warping. It's just in bad shape, and I would be concerned, not only does it look terrible, I'd be concerned about a safety issue. And it also affects play because you get a ball in the crack and it does something wonky. So I just wanted to bring that to the attention. My hope is that it's already being planned on being improved somewhere. You know, I want to say thank you for the other efforts that are ongoing, but that's one that I believe needs to be looked at as well, is the tennis and pickleball courts at Shoreview. I'm fortunate. Today I went and played at Beresford, you know, but they just, and then I walked over today to Joinville, and it's like, oh, those are nice too. So it's like this, it's night and day. So thank you for your time.
Chair Fields, we have no more public commenters.
Excellent. Thank you for that public comment. Again, we can't take action, of course, on a public comment unless it's to an agendized item. However, I will just say there is a capital improvement project list that perhaps would be useful to be examined to our public commenter. With that, I will close public comment, and we will move on to item number 3. Beresford Pickleball Pilot Program presentation and feedback. And we will be graced with the presence of our Community Services Manager, Zachary Silva, who will be offering a presentation.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners, members of the public. I'm Zach Silva, Community Services Manager for the Parks and Recreation Department, and I will be presenting the Beresford Park Pickleball Pilot Program. A little background on the pilot program. The need to resurface the courts over at Beresford led to a conversation and a subsequent community survey, which led to findings of pickleball interest in the community. On November 6th of 2024, staff brought the pickleball concept to this commission for input and feedback. That led to one tennis court at Beresford being designated for pickleball, 3 courts on the one tennis court, 2 courts on one half, and 1 pickleball court on the other half. It was designed for drop-in use only. Staff collected feedback primarily through the email address pickleball@cityofsanmateo.org. We posted this on site at the pickleball courts as well. Nets were purchased at about $2,400 each. Striping was $25,000 for the pilot program. And then just to share, since the pilot began, we've had some staffing transitions. So just want to acknowledge some of the athletics team in the room. Tracy Brummett, Community Services Section Manager, Michelle Burwell is the Athletics Supervisor, and then Sukhjot Thin is our Community Services Coordinator. So they'll be the ones kind of carrying the program forward. So some of the feedback we received 98 responses that were recorded and shared in the agenda report. These were open-ended, so you could email, you could call. And so staff worked to extract some of the feedback that we had, and what we came up with were 50 positive direct positive responses of those 98 feedbacks, and then 7 negative. So you can see there was a lot of positive support in this, and in the coming slides, I'll kind of review a little bit. So those other comments that weren't directly positive or negative were kind of feedback or suggestions on the program. So of the positive feedback, a lot of it was indicating appreciation for the courts, the ability to play pickleball, the convenience of it. We had some self-reported usage on there of some folks playing daily, some folks playing weekly. We learned that there's a WhatsApp group with over 70 subscribers of folks who are playing over at the pickleball, and just overall kind of appreciation and support of the pilot program. Of the negative feedback, it was generally concerns of the pickleball noise levels, in addition to community members who play tennis who would have limited access to tennis, as well as kind of sharing the courts with pickleball. That was the summary of the negative feedback. Some of the additional feedback was the nets being moved, signage helping out with the barriers between the courts, comments on more pickleball courts in the city, and then comments on amenities like lighting the benches, trash receptacles. So fortunately, we've had the opportunity to address some of this. And with that, we have installed signage outlining the court code of conduct, clear signage indicating court 1 designated for pickleball only. We have adjusted the net height. We've removed the wheels so they're fixed, so they can't be moved. We have tightened some of the slack you see in that picture so that it's a little better barriers. And we have also added push brooms just to help keep the courts clean and convenient for some of the users. So with that feedback, the recommendation is to transition the pickleball pilot program into an ongoing drop-in amenity at Beresford Park. This would include keeping the current pickleball court lines and equipment, and then continuing to monitor the feedback from court users. So that concludes the presentation, and I will pass it back over to the chair.
Thank you very much. So just for the sake of everyone who's joined us and our newest commissioner, once the presentation is done, we will open it up to public comment, which I will do in just a moment. After public comment, staff will have the opportunity to respond if needed. Then my fellow commissioners and I will be able to ask questions, give comment, and generally have discussion. And for everyone's knowledge, this is useful to know. This is an informational item. We're just giving feedback and input. There isn't a vote that will actually take place on this item. So that being said, I will now open public comment. I imagine we have a few commenters here in person and perhaps a few online as well.
Yes, Chair Fields, right now we have one in-person commenter for pickleball. And if anybody else wants to speak, please fill out one of these request to speak slips and bring them up to me right now. If you're online and you want to comment, please raise your hand at this time. Okay, so we have one public commenter. So the time will be 3 minutes. Mari, you can come up to the mic.
Hello, I'm Mari Secchi, and thank you very much for the presentation on the Beresford pickleball courts. And I just wanted to represent my fellow pickleballers at Beresford Park, and I am on the WhatsApp group as well. We really enjoy it and have been going regularly and have just had a great time with pickleball there. So the reason why I wanted to put in a comment today is to request that it become permanent. And it sounds like it's moving towards that way. So thank you so much for that. And we really look forward to continued play at Beresford Park with pickleball. So thank you.
Any hands raised online or further public comments on this item? One more, it sounds like. Okay, and I'll just, before you begin, I'll just remind everyone, if you would like to make a public comment on this item, please turn in a slip right now. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Glory Misaki, and I just want to thank the city of San Mateo for doing the pilot pickleball program at Beresford. So excited. I go to the park every day, and I see the courts being used. So I'm just happy. Thank you for doing that. It would be great if you could spend a whole ton of money, but but this is perfect. And thank you so much for putting it in. And I'm hoping it's going to be a permanent fixture out there. Thank you.
Ricky, you can come up to the mic.
Thank you very much. My name is Ricky Villarreal. I represent my pickleball friends over back here. So first of all, I want to invite you guys to play with us. First, that's one thing, to get to know why we are here, to make all these recommendations. But I have a list that my colleagues want me to say. I'm just going to share with Zachary and everything else to keep all the existing 3 courts. We want that. Maybe, I don't know if you're going to do a permanent fence with a windproof barrier, because during the afternoons it really gets windy. And we try to struggle to keep those nets down and make everybody happy. We want to see the neighboring court, I forget what court number that is. As in Washington Park, we want to make sure that we can paint pickable lines on the neighboring court, and we can add our own nets for the overflow people who comes in, like in Washington Park, which they use the neighboring tennis court to add their pickable nets, and they can play for the overflow. That's one thing we want to do. We want to make those paddle rack system player friendly, please, because we're struggling how to pass on who's next and who's going to play next. Secondly, and we want to add the pickleball rules, court, and conduct sign right above those racks, because we have new players coming in, and we just want to make sure that the new players respectfully adhere to those rules. That's all, because sometimes they're not even waiting for their turn. They just sneak in and go into the courts. Replace broken bench, add another bench if you could. Be great if you could add a water bottle fill station for us hardworking pickleball players. If the noise is an issue, we address that. Maybe a windscreen around the whole barrier of the courts. And wheels to be removed. It's already been done. I got 57 seconds. I'm going to use it. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, if the fence is going to be constructed next to the neighboring court for the balls from not going across, if you're going to construct a fence there, maybe add a gate access so we can retrieve the balls from the neighboring court. That'd be kind of nice to have. And I said, and I like for that, just, keep on playing pickleball. Thank you.
And Chair Fields, we have one last public commenter on Zoom. Paz, you can go ahead and speak. Paz, you can unmute. Paz, you can go ahead and unmute now. Okay.
Okay, and with that, we will close public comment. Should that online commenter, reemerge, we'll happily take their consideration. Fine. With that, though, we will bring it back to the commission. I think I'll start this way and move to the youth commissioners. So With that, Commissioner Ocampo, any questions, any comments? Actually, hold on. Before I do that, I should ask staff, staff, would you like to respond to any of the comments that were made? I didn't hear any questions, I don't think, but nonetheless.
No, we appreciate the feedback that you've provided, especially about, fixing broken benches. Please continue to email us at our pickleball email to let us know about different things so we can address them in a timely fashion. So we appreciate it.
Excellent, thank you. And with that, I will then pass it to Commissioner Ocampo to make comments or ask questions.
So I am not a pickleball player. I played it once and I really suck. But I really appreciate everyone really taking the initiative to provide feedback during the pilot. I know that there was a lot of emotion going on initially. And so it's obvious that we need more pickleball courts in San Mateo because of the demand is there. And so I just wanted to thank everyone for that and being cooperative and understanding of everyone's kind of point of view. I will take up the offer of playing with you guys, but please give me a handicap because I really do suck. Thank you.
Vice Chair Witcher.
Can everyone hear me? I typically don't need a microphone. However, Chair
Zoomers.
Fields insists that I use the technology. I shall avail myself of it. Zach, thank you very much for a very informative presentation. I have no questions about it. The point that strikes me is that the feedback in favor of keeping this project and making the nets permanent is truly overwhelming. 50 in favor, 50 solicited comments in favor, only 7 comments not in favor. So to me, that's an overwhelming demand from our community to keep this program. I'll be happy to play if left-handers are welcome. Stuff spins a different way and we think backward and all that. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Witcher. Commissioner Trapp.
Thank you. And thank you for all for coming out and giving your support behind the community sport that we really appreciate you guys coming out and sharing your time with us tonight. Zach, I have a couple of questions for you. So this was our pilot program, and you mentioned that there was some staff turnover. Is there any impact to having the staff turnover, or was that just informational that we have a staff turnover?
Yeah, it was mostly informational, just since different folks presenting and folks carrying it forward. So a fresh set of eyes and perspective, but yeah, just informational.
Awesome. Really excited about the WhatsApp. Was that community originated and we didn't set up anything for that? So that's pretty cool. And so is there any plans to potentially kind of use that for comments, or is it just going to be because it was community originated, keeping it as an original?
Yeah, no plans at this time to use the WhatsApp. It was just, I thought it was a cool stat to, a few people shared that in the feedback. So I thought it was worth sharing. And the numbers, you could tell as they came in maybe a week later, that number grew. I think the first one we got, there's 60 people, and we got to over 70. But certainly something, if we can figure out how the city could engage with that, if we had updates or something to share regarding pickleball, that could be a good thing to tap into.
I mean, I don't know what any policy is for any social or public, so whatever that could potentially be incorporated into feedback, that would be under our legal umbrella would be fantastic, because you have a homegrown feedback loop right there. Some of the negative things that you mentioned in the thing. So I think, well, I'll kind of see if the negative flows into my other question. Long-term capital expense, I don't recall what we had talked about a while ago when we first got this on the agenda. Is there a plan for a more permanent fix for a permanent court, or is it we're going to continue through the pilot program to see how it what happens?
Yeah, the recommendation is to remove pilot, and it'll be an ongoing amenity there. I think as far as the permanent fixtures, some of the sound barriers, those things are large costs.
Yep.
So that's something that will need to be considered in future capital improvement project planning. continuing to listen to the feedback, demand, see if the technology changes as something available comes in the future. But for now, yeah, as is, and continuing as funding may become available, to consider applying that to this project.
Okay, because I know one of the negative comments is we are taking one of the courts away from tennis, but I think through to the community, that's probably a good decision to do, even though the poor tennis people won't particularly like that very much. But we do have other tennis courts, many places. So then with that, if we're planning on keeping it as a long-term solution, there are many solutions for noise. Well, there's some solution for noise. Are we planning to try to incorporate, different balls, different things into that, maybe making that a requirement, or certain hours, potentially adding that for when you could have one ball versus another ball during different hours?
Yeah, potentially there's more thorough feedback we could collect, as it was kind of open-ended, so that we have some of this moving forward. If we continue to receive that feedback, we can continue to investigate it and problem solve. And yeah, I think those are good solutions, right? Looking at different timing and hours of certain balls and looking into that a little bit. Yeah, that would definitely be a next step.
Awesome, great. I think that is all my questions. Last one I always ask, since we all know that funding for things are pretty tight, is there an option for crowdsourcing and crowdfunding for things that we potentially cannot put through our own budget? So having the community adding some of that to make the permanent better. Yeah.
We certainly love to partner with our Park and Rec Foundation to raise funds for projects that the city can't maybe deliver on in a timely fashion. So we're definitely engaging with that group in order to prioritize different projects and parks. And that's definitely on the table.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you again for coming out tonight.
Thank you, Commissioner Trapp. Commissioner Chiappi, any questions or comments?
Thank you, Zach, for your presentation. And I'd also like to thank the members of the public for coming out today. I have one comment and one question. So my comment is, like my fellow commissioners have said, the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. And I think this is something that not only provides a space for exercise, but it looks like it's also building community, as seen from the comments that have been provided to us. So I would like to congratulate the staff of the Parks and Recs for a job well done and providing all the data and ensuring that the community participated in this decision making. So my one question is, when does this become permanent?
I think the difference between permanent and the status of it now of just being an ongoing amenity would become funding. More permanent nets that go in there, the court lines would become different colors and more robust. And that's going to be a funding question, capital improvement projects. So it's something that would need to get on the list for capital improvement projects and then ultimately approved by council to move forward in that. And it would take that level of action to make them permanent.
But just to follow up on that, Zach's totally correct. But if you provide us feedback that, it's in a positive nature to move forward with ending the pilot, we will, starting tomorrow, take down the pilot signage and update the signage that this is an ongoing program out at the Beresford courts.
Excellent. Now we'll hear from our youth commissioners. Youth Commissioner Jelniker.
Can you hear me all right? I can't find the buttons in my microphone.
Yeah, make sure you speak into the microphone so people on Zoom can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, testing. Okay, we're good. Sorry, it was far. Zach, thank you for the presentation. It was nicely done. I don't really have any questions, but I just want to say it really warms my heart to see like all you guys who play pickleball here tonight. And honestly, I'm really happy for you guys that people are just like loving the pickleball program. And honestly, you guys seem like really kind and down to earth. I'd be totally down to join you guys sometime. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. And our newest commissioner, Youth Commissioner Anna Polsky.
Yeah, I had one question actually. This is kind of related to the adding a water filling station sort of request. I was just wondering where the closest water filling station was, or if there was one in the tennis court pickleball area.
There are water bottle filling stations out of Beresford Park. They're a little farther from that court, but they're over by the skate park, bike racks, picnic area. So up on the opposite corner of the courts that you're currently playing at.
Okay. And then I didn't have any other questions, but the other comment was just thank you all for coming out tonight. It's really nice to see a community kind of come together over something like this. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Zach, I just had a couple of questions. First, I want to say thank you to the presentation and thank you to the community members who showed up this evening and also who showed up when the pilot was first introduced. We were actually in the other room, but quite crowded that evening. So it's nice to be here in Chambers. I'm curious, one of the public commenters brought up sort of issues of etiquette and signage. I imagine that it wouldn't be so costly necessarily to add some additional signage around sort of rules and process. Is that something that could be implemented?
Yeah, we have something in place. The comment was to put it above the racks. We can certainly look at that and make sure there's somewhere we can put it a little more front facing, a little bit bigger, more robust. Yeah, we could definitely look into that.
Great. I think that would be something, particularly as it seems like there's consensus that we're supportive of moving this into a more ongoing program. I think is the phrase we're using. Out of a pilot and into that more ongoing phase. I'll just say, as a tennis player, I want to make sure that we're striking the right balance of tennis and pickleball. I said this when we started the pilot, and I think that that's what this achieves. Obviously, there are significant demands for pickleball, and there's significant demands for tennis. I know that at Central Park we have a phased-in approach that will at some point mean the tennis courts there closing for a period of time. So making sure that we're maintaining a balance of amenities is important, I think, to me and to many San Mateans. And I like I said, I think that this program does do that. So it would be my recommendation to move forward with, I guess, ending the pilot and moving into an ongoing program. And I imagine that's true based on the comments of my other council member or my other commissioners. Yes. Excellent. Very good. So we're not voting, but that's where I think we're landing on this. And certainly also from Joanne's comments, to the community members that are here, thank you so much, and keep giving that feedback, whether it's about signage or water or other uses and amenities at the park. And I will ask my fellow commissioners any further comments or questions. Commissioner Trapp.
Just one comment. As the data person that I am, as we start to see the tennis population increase or decrease and the pickleball population increase and decrease with the balance of tennis courts versus pickleball courts availability and potentially sharing with our neighbor at San Mateo. I'm sorry, Foster City, because I know Foster City has some really amazing tennis courts. I think putting that data out front to show that we are increasing our pickleball community and we're increasing our pickleball courts, and just the balance between the tennis population and the pickleball population. So the tennis players don't feel like they're being marginalized because of such an increasing popular sport. And then alternatives for the tennis court people to potentially go to our neighbor courts to play. I think that would be a great thing to have, so people know that we are trying to address both communities. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have one other comment.
Please.
I just want to commend the staff that have picked up the pilot program and championed it. It's always difficult during a transitional period, and we have 3 new staff in the position that have taken this pilot and made sure that we fulfilled our timeline associated. So just really my thanks to Suk and Tracy, Michelle, and to Zach, because I know it was not an easy task to jump in and get this keep the ball rolling, as you will. So just really my appreciation to the staff that we're able to deliver this presentation to you all tonight.
Thank you. And with that, we will move on to item number 4. Shoreview Skate Park Project, approval of the proposed improvement plan. And we have, all right, we're going to pause for just a moment while there's some shuffling around in the gallery.
Good.
Fellow San Mateans, if you're going to chit chat, please do it outside. Thank you. Excellent. With that, item number 4, the Shoreview Skate Park Project, approval of the proposed improvement plan. And we have a presentation from the project manager, King Leong.
Good evening to you, Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners. My name is King with Parks and Rec Department. I'm a Senior Project Manager. And I'm happy to present the final improvement plan for the skate park at Shoreview. If you focus onto attachment 1, there is a diagram showing the final improvement plan that we are proposing for you to consider. It's a very simple diagram. The yellow areas is the paving that will be replaced. And the red dots, the 4 red dots, signify the pole locations for the sport lighting system. The pavement in the yellow is the base bid scope of work, and the sport lighting system is a bid alternate if we choose to do that, if you direct us to do that. That is the sum of the final improvement plan. Pretty straightforward.
I would say it's very straightforward, in fact. Excellent. That concludes your presentation, I take it?
That concludes my
Very
presentation.
good. So with that, similarly to our previous item, we will have public comment, and then once public comment is closed, staff will be able to respond to public comment, and then the commission will be able to ask questions and make comments. However, and this is why it's fun to be a commissioner, we will actually vote on this item. Just so we're clear, we are voting on this proposed final improvement plan. With that, I will ask, do we have public comment on this item? I imagine we do.
Yes, Chair Fields, we currently have 4 in-person public commenters. If anybody else wants to comment, please hand me a speaker slip now. And if there's anybody on Zoom who wants to comment, please raise your hand at this time. Okay, we're just going to go ahead with our in-person commenters. It's going to be 3 minutes each. Nancy, you can come up to the mic.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Nancy Sanchez. I live on Dale Avenue on the corner of Dale and Ocean View. My backyard looks over the tennis court. 21 years ago, when that skate park went in, there was a lot of heavy trucks back and forth along the path behind my house. We came back from a 1-week vacation to ginormous cracks in the walls, and the project wasn't finished yet. So I waited until the project was finished to call somebody here 21 years ago, who knows who it was, and tell them that there has been damage to my property. And they said, well, nobody else in your neighborhood has complained, so it couldn't have been our project. And that's where it sat. And I just want to know what's being done now to keep my house and other houses from shaking to the foundation. And I guess that sums up my question. Thank you so very much for your time.
Our next public commenter is Ryan. You can come up to the mic.
Hello, all staff, commissioners. My name is Ryan Motzik. 30 years ago, I was in this building as a young teenager with a group that would fill this room of skateboarders high-fiving each other about the 3 parks that we were promised. And you guys have probably heard this story before. I'm going to tell it again. We were promised 3 skate parks. In that interim, when the skate parks were getting built, we were given a temporary park. City took away that park before the parks got built. We got Shoreview and we were like, heck yeah, this is one of the best parks, period. It's an amazing park. The ground's amazing. It's a street style park, which we don't get much of, or I think it was nothing like that at all. Then Beresford got built and it was maybe one of the worst parks ever built. And I'm not joking, I'm here to be real honest. Park number 3 never happened. I've been advocating for about 30 years personally. I have a skateboard shop in downtown San Mateo called Atlas. I also have a store in San Francisco called Deluxe. Been working in this industry since I was 17 years old. And we have gotten a lot of things done outside of this city, but for years of fighting to get this 3rd park, we were kind of pacified with this budget to get San Mateo remodeled and expanded. And to see that we're essentially getting less of a park than we originally got without an expansion is deeply disappointing. As you can see, there's only 3 of us. And the reason why there's only 3 of us here and not a room full of excited kids and whatever is there's fatigue. The skate community has been burned. Skateboarding is not smaller now than it was back then. It's in the Olympics, it's on television, we have celebrities, we've got milk commercials with skateboarders with their stupid milk mustaches. It's so cute. But what I'm saying is for us to not get what we were promised and then on top of it, get this treatment is deeply disappointing. I cannot say that it's a win. I can say it's a disappointment. I think this should go back to the drawing board. I think an expansion, lights and the resurfacing is like, that should be at full stop. And then we should start talking about the 3rd park. I'm upset, I'm sad, and I'm disappointed. And I really hope that we get something a little better than this tiny park that's getting a little bit of ground resurfacing and lights that we should have got from day one. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Patrick. You can come to the mic.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Patrick. I was here at the last meeting that we talked about this skate park. And I was also there at the grand opening, and I actually ended up on the cover of the local newspaper for skating there. So as I said in the last meeting, Shoreview was my home, backyard. It kind of raised me. It's like Ryan said, it's fallen into a bit of disrepair. I actually skated it last Thursday. It's still fun. But I think our expectations were what Ryan kind of mentioned, that it would get revitalized, the lights that we always kind of thought it deserved, and maybe were promised, maybe not, I'm not sure. And the possible expansion to make it an even better park than it is now. I know that there was a certain budget allocated to this project, and I'm just curious how that factors into this one slide presentation. Is there any sort of consideration to how much a resurfacing and lights and possible expansion costs? And what maybe further discussions can we have to maybe make Shoreview even better than it is now? And I was just curious, if there's a vote tonight, what is actually being voted on? Is it a resurfacing and lights? Is it one or the other? And as us skateboarders that go there all the time, do we have a say in how that all happens? So I'll leave it there. Thank you for your time, and hope we can make Shoreview a great skate park, or even better than it is now. Thanks.
Then our last speaker is Mike. You can come up to Mike.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Benitez. I've been running the skateboard instruction program through the Parks and Rec Department for about 19 years now. I've helped to raise some fine young kids that have grown up to work for me, or I've seen them become sponsored skateboarders in the city and in San Mateo, and really something to be proud of. So I've been part of the skateboard community for a long time. I'm in my 40s and I still actively fall down and get back up off my skateboard. I've also gone to all these meetings, and my understanding as of the last one was at a bare minimum, there would be an expansion to the existing Shoreview Park and resurfacing, and then I thought lighting, and now it looks like we showed up here tonight and it's either lighting or resurfacing, no expansion at all. That's super disappointing. We've seen local cities like South San Francisco build a brand new world-class park that is really something to be proud of. We've seen Millbrae revitalize their skate park, and just watching Shoreview just fall into disrepair. It's a shame. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Chair Fields, we have no more public commenters.
Excellent. Thank you to everyone who made a public comment. And with that, I will turn it over to staff if there's any responses you would like to offer.
Yeah, at our previous commission meeting, we brought 3 options forward for you to rank. And the ranking and the feedback that we received was to replace the existing pavement. Secondary was to add lighting, and third was the expansion. There are requirements associated with expanding that are quite costly. So that is also one of the reasons this budget is limited. And we're hopeful that when we get the bids, when we have a bid alternate that comes in, it allows us the flexibility to reject the alternate if it's over budget. And so we're hopeful that we can add the lighting into this project based on when the bids come in. So that's our hope and that's why we're showing the lighting schematic here. And I don't know if King has anything to add to that.
I have, we did our due diligence to price out the base bid and the alternate lighting system. And I believe Vice Chair Wisher had a question about the cost, which we are happy to answer.
Good. At the point in the process, I'll ask that question. Is that point?
It will be in just a moment. All right, with that, then we will bring it back to the commission, and we'll start the other direction. So Commissioner Chiappi, any questions or comments?
Thank you, King, for your presentation, and also like to thank members of the public who came out to provide their comments. My one question is about a comment made about a third skateboard park. Do the staff know exactly where this park was planned, or do you know anything about the third park that the city wanted to build?
I have been briefed by Ryan on previous conversations. I don't know if there was an actual location identified, but I do realize that we only currently have 2 skate parks, and there are no additional skate parks on our CIP list for the upcoming 5-year cycle.
I don't have any other questions.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Trapp, any questions or comments?
Thank you, King, and thank you to you for coming out tonight and continuing to come out. I know we've seen you in previous meetings, and the fact that you guys have been committed to this community and are part of this community speaks volumes about your dedication to the sport and to the community to have it here for us. I really liked your comment about the fact that we are getting ready to go into a Olympic season, and so more eyes are going to be on this event and this sport. So whatever we potentially can do as a community to, even elevate it or make it better, or at least highlight what we currently have during that time, I think is an opportunity that we shouldn't pass. I guess the only question that I would get to, a couple of questions on the actual schema that you have here. So the bid, if I understand it correctly, is to do the base of the yellow. If we vote to add on to that and get the additional budget, then that is the additional lights that would potentially be there. Any consideration to the timer on the lights, the radius of the lights? I'm assuming we didn't get a little schematic of what that would kind of highlight in there. Is that any concern? That I'm sure not, but it would have been nice to have a schema to see like the radius of the lights and all that as to what was going to be covered. And I think the last time in the meeting, we talked about what a timer for the neighborhood to have lights on at a certain time. I don't know if we addressed that or are planning to address that type of thing for people who are in the neighborhood to have that timer for when an evening skate or something like that. And then I know we'll get to the question of the budget, so I won't ask that question.
Thank you, Commissioner. The lighting system, we went out to another vendor to get another study performed on the lighting system. It was very helpful. The lighting system will be an LED system, and the lighting levels will be of a quality that befits a sport lighting system, not general lighting, but it's a sport lighting system with high foot candle readings. The light distribution for that lighting system will be very focused on the skate park itself, because we are very concerned about light spillover to the neighboring properties. So the lights will have very good, what they call in the industry, cutoff shields. So it just focuses the light on that sport park area. There will be a timer associated with that lighting system. We will make sure that that is part of the specifications.
Okay. Vice Chair Richer, now is the time.
Now it's done. No, I dislike microphones because I have a voice that tends to carry. Can everyone hear me?
Everyone in the room can hear you, but all of our fellow Zoomers cannot.
That is an outstanding reason I will use the technology. Thank you very much for coming out. Again, your comments are very clear. Your passion for the sport and for the community are very clear, and I truly appreciate it. We all appreciate it. A question for staff and my fellow commissioners. I hear that the Beresford Skate Park is very disappointing, that it's just not well designed. And I think that was probably before everyone's time here. Does anyone know or recall the process that was used then to take input from the skating community and translate that into a design for a fairly expensive park?
I can't speak to the specifics of that exact project, but normally we are required to bring forward in a public process outreach to the community, get input and feedback, and usually there is a determination made by the commission for design elements. As you go out to bid for projects, we are required to take the lowest bidder as per our procurement policy with the city. So sometimes, you have challenges with what is delivered based on that. So, I can't speak to the specifics around that project specifically.
It was
I just
before
generally,
everyone's time.
generally, we have to take the lowest bid. So that that can affect things.
Sure. Yeah, what I'm very curious about, and again, this is before any of us were here, is you have the Shoreview Park, which the skaters say is it's a fantastic street style park. So it was really well designed. And at the same time, we got another park that was very poorly designed. So I'm puzzled. And as sure as we go forward, we'll follow a good process.
They're definitely
and-
different style skate parks.
and
Yeah.
Next one will be hopefully making them stand up and cheer. Quick comment about communication. We're all on email, first initial, last name @cityofsanmateo.org. And all of our names are up there on the website as commissioners. So feel free, send email. We love to receive those. Staff will, of course, remind me to stay in my legal lane. And if staff does not, the city attorney will remind me to stay in my legal lane, but communication will be properly handled. King, just to make sure I'm clear, and to reiterate Commissioner Trapp's question, we have essentially two project proposals in front of us, one resurfacing and then an add-on for, I think it's roughly $100,000 estimated bid to do the lighting. That's correct? That's what the wording means.
That is correct.
Okay. Will they be able to reuse existing light standards and wiring? We're able to save costs that way.
There are no existing light standards associated with the skate park right now.
Right, there's tennis court has one, walkway has some. Any reuse?
Unfortunately, no.
All right, and that's probably to keep the design so that I forget the technical term you used, so that we won't have light spill over and so that it'll be properly lit. This is to do it right.
There were some factors that pushed us into the finding that the poles could not be reused. One is the existing lighting system out there is old, and the poles are not necessarily compatible to accept new light fixtures on top. The other thing is the structural design for the poles, for the footing of the poles, may not be adequate to handle additional loads onto the poles. So that was the driving reason why we could not consider using existing poles.
Well, I'm very happy that it was studied. I'm very happy that you were thorough with that. Joanne, 3 months ago, or what was it? 6 months ago now, we discussed briefly alternate sources of funding. One was a citywide grants or grants for citywide lighting improvements for parks. And another was potential private donations. Are either of those factored into this? Are either of those sources available for this?
So currently, no, but we like to keep our options open. That's why we put together a bid alternate for the lighting in case grant funding becomes available or in case our bids come in lower than the projected costs that we have estimated. You kind of never know. You can, come close, but sometimes it's way overbid, sometimes it's underbid. So it gives us the flexibility with having a bid alternate to potentially pursue additional funding sources. But currently we don't have any.
Great, that's clear. Thank you. Last question. What's the proposed schedule?
So to get bid documents ready, to get it bid, to get it past the city council agenda and approval will take, in my estimation, about 10 to 12 months. It seems long, but there's many moving parts to this. And when you break it down, each part is about 2 months. And I think I listed about 5 steps, so that puts it about 10 to 12 months. If council approves and awards the contract, then my estimate for construction is about 6 months. So from soup to nuts, 18 months approximately, if all falls in place.
Good, that's clear. Great, thank you. No more questions, no more comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Ocampo.
Thank you, King, for the presentation. Thank you, King, for the presentation, and thank you to the people in the back, Mike and Ryan, et cetera, for all the comments. I mean, it's obvious that you are passionate about skateboarding and the community and the sport, and obviously disappointed that expectations weren't met. I do think that moving forward in the future, when it comes to feedback, that we should, I know that we do surveys and things like that, but we should do a little bit more than that, especially given their passion for the sport. I mean, you're a business owner too, and so it makes a lot of sense to gather as much feedback via other means as well, other than just an online survey. So we should kind of put that in our back pocket for future use, because I think that hearing what had to be said about the Beresford skate park, I think we missed the mark a little bit. And whether it was like not getting enough feedback or whatever it was, I think that was a moment to really kind of reevaluate our feedback process, and really ensure that we were getting optimal feedback from the community, not just our community, but the skateboarding community too. I do hope that we can add the lighting to it, because the resurfacing is obviously something we need to do, otherwise it's not usable. But we do also need lighting as well. So I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get the funds for that. And thank you again for showing your passion and showing up.
Thank you. Let's hear from our youth commissioners. Youth Commissioner Jelniker, any comments or questions?
King, thank you for the presentation. And thank you to all the community members who showed up tonight, especially the skateboarders here. I know a lot of people my age who are really into the craft, and I really just I want to commend all the advocacy and camaraderie you guys have demonstrated over the past several years. And I really just want to say, I hope that things do get better in the future, and that there may be more investments to skate parks and such, because just having amenities that people can bond over and really connect, I think it's really important, especially in times like these where things are getting a lot more digital and people are getting lonelier. So just thank you.
Youth Commissioner Anna Polsky, comments or questions?
Yeah, sorry. I did have one question. It was just a lot of people, or a couple of people, talked about expansion of the Shoreview Park. I was just wondering how that would happen, or what that would entail.
That might be a Joanne question.
I think that King can speak to that. The proposed expansion was one of the items that was available for ranking, but it came in third as far as the three choices that were available. And we don't have enough funding to do all three options. But I don't know if King, you want to add any further details?
Thank you, Joanne. The expansion, although it seems simple, opens a Pandora's box of other requirements. One being that the expansion will increase the paving of the skate park. And it exceeds the threshold where we would go into having to put in green infrastructure, biofiltration, stormwater recovery into the facility. And that exponentially increases the construction costs considerably. Not only do we have to put in those structures, but the existing skate park, the way it was built, does not drain towards the areas where potentially we can put in the green infrastructure. So that means we would have to start completely new with the skate park and rebuild that. From the standpoint of the skate park community, that might be great, certainly very desirable, but from the standpoint of CIP and available funds, it would be a bigger and heavier lift. So just FYI, that's why it's just not a simple matter of expanding the park.
Okay, thank you for answering my question.
Okay, I have a few comments. You know, San Mateo is my home, but I'm originally from San Diego. And one of the things people tell me whenever I say, oh, I'm from San Diego, is one of the most famous skateboarders in the world is also from San Diego. And it really like became a part of the brand of the place. And, you know, at one point, San Mateo it's Tony Hawk, by the way, if you didn't know. You guys all knew. Anyway, but it really like San Diego became synonymous for a period of time with Tony Hawk. And I'm not saying that we're going to produce the next Tony Hawk, although it would be cool if we did. It would replace our other famous athlete, and I wouldn't mind that. But you know, when I travel and I live a blessed life, I've traveled a lot in the last year, you know, through I think really conversations that we've had with the skateboarding community and with the folks at Atlas. Whenever I've traveled, I've noticed, especially when I see newer parks, there's a skate park. And I know we have different funding streams and not as much funding as a lot of other places, but my partner lives in Vancouver and we were walking and it was like, oh, a cool skate park. I was fortunate to be in Tasmania earlier this year and I saw a cool skate park in a small town. You know, this is a worldwide interest, and increasingly when you go to newer parks, you see a skating element within that park. So, you know, I've said it before in front of this group. I would love to see that third skate space sooner rather than later. I know we have limited resources, but I'll just put a plug in for that. There's clearly a need for a feedback process improvement. I think the pickleball pilot program is clearly a step in the right direction. And so, you know, making sure that we have the right feedback process for the right audience. Obviously, we've figured out the pickleball demographics, I think, quite well. I think probably there's some different needs in terms of feedback for the skateboarding community, and we will figure that out. But I think we're aligned on process improvement there. I'll also just say, I really hope that we can get the lighting installed here, given that the other sports are illuminated at Shoreview. It generally feels like, I don't know why this wasn't lit from the start, but it really feels like it should have been. So, you know, I'll happily support this. I really hope that we can get lighting in place. And I guess my only real question is, would the lighting be in the same time frame as the lighting for the other sports? Like there's lighting for the tennis courts, there's lighting for the basketball. Would the lighting around the skate park be on the same time frame? Or would it be different? And if it's different, why?
Do you mean time frame that it's turned on?
Correct, correct.
Yes, I would imagine so.
Okay. So there wouldn't be anything distinguishing the skate area from the rest of the sports activity areas of the park?
Would think not.
Okay, good. Great. Well, with that, I will ask my fellow commissioners if you have any other questions or comments. I'll take them now, and then I'll also take a motion once our questions and comments have been exhausted.
Do you have one additional question I'd like to ask of the staff? So our community has said that, of course, they were originally promised three areas. We produced two. One of them is not up to par by the community standards, and King has mentioned that to expand the one that would be costly to do. But my question or to you is, if number two, the second skate park, the community is not using or is not happy with, is there an opportunity for us to remodel that one with community input and standards to get it to a level where they would be happy with that, and we can continue to grow the community in the skating community, leaving the first one that they seem to be happy with, but with some upgrades to and keeping it at a level that they could use, but then taking the one that no one seems to like, and we can get some feedback and some data on that truly, and see if that is something potentially that with some input and design that could be brought up to a level that they would want to use. So thereby reducing not having the need to have a third, but bringing the second one that no one seems to like or want to a level that the community would want to have. Now, I know it's probably be the same cost because of remodeling it, but is that a suggestion that we could potentially go forward with to get some feedback from our community?
Yeah, we're always open to different thinking around how we're managing our projects. I will say that the skate park at Beresford is very different from the skate park at Shoreview, but it is well utilized by the community. We do have different camps, and there is activity there. People use their bikes as well as their skateboards out there. So I would not characterize it as underutilized or not well liked. It's just different. But yes, we can definitely take your feedback into consideration as we develop our projects. Thank you.
I'll just add, I think there's a question of use and intent around the Beresford skate space. Whenever I go there to play tennis, I always check on the skate space to see what's happening. And I will tell you, I think I've seen 3 skateboards or skateboarders utilizing that space, and dozens of kids on bikes at that space. So maybe we should just rebrand it as a BMX spot, and maybe that would at least be honest. That's at least how it's being utilized. With that, well, Vice Chair Witcher, you get the last comment, and then I would love a motion.
I just want to circle back quickly to the public comment that came from Nancy Sanchez about damage to private property caused by city construction, or apparently caused by city construction. What are the guidelines that a resident should follow prior to construction, during construction, and after construction? And what are the guidelines that are followed by our construction crews, all in this topic of damage to private property?
I'll let King speak to the process associated with construction management.
Thanks, Joanne. Not having been there to see what the actual construction process was or what equipment was used there, I can only conjecture that there was construction equipment of some size that entered into the project area.
King, I actually am hoping that you can speak to what our current mitigations are for construction projects. Yeah, not to.
Bingo. That's actually my question, is going forward.
Yeah.
In general, what are our processes for both private property owners contacting the city, and for the city ensuring that proper care is taken to not damage private property?
So I can speak to the process associated with potential damage to private property. There is a process where you can file a claim with the city, and we can provide you that information. So happy to follow up with you after the meeting. But there are mitigation measures, and they have become more formative as the years have gone by. in all sorts of things. So that's what I was hoping you could speak to, King.
So the contractor is limited to their access points, and we encourage the neighbors to notify the city as soon as the damage is noticed and not wait, because we want to investigate that as soon as possible and inquire with the contractor what their activities were during that time that may or may not have influenced the damage.
Great. So there are guidelines. There is a process.
Yes.
It can be followed, executed, and situations avoided, or in the worst case, resolved. It's all
And
there.
documented.
And documented. So it's all there. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion from one of my fellow commissioners?
Do it. Oh, it's on. We're going to accept, we're voting to approve the base bid, and also if we want to, we're voting to add the lighting into that bid too. Is that correct?
Would you like to make that as a motion?
I'd like to move that the commission vote on accepting the base bid, and in addition, including the bid for the lighting.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Excellent. Please call the roll.
Yes, Chair Fields,
Yes.
Vice Chair Witcher,
Aye.
Commissioner Chiappi,
Aye.
Commissioner Ocampo,
Aye.
and Commissioner Trapp.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, we hope that you get a well-lit and smooth-surfaced skate park. Okay, with that, we now move on to item number 5. So item number 5 is election of officers. I will just read a few notes here. We're going to ask if there is a motion to nominate a chair and a vice chair. We can do them in one motion or in two, depending on how much we like voting. I will just remind my fellow commissioners, the youth commissioners do not vote or nominate. So sorry, but someday soon. The chair and vice chair are elected by the majority vote of the commission. Each serves a 1-year term, continuing in office until successors are elected. Or their commission terms expire. Typical practice is for the vice chair to rotate into the chair role. Any deviation from the rotation is rare and generally requires some kind of stated reasoning by the nominating commissioner. Let's see. The city council recommends that commissioners have prior experience before serving as chair or vice chair, recognizing the need for familiarity with the governing cycle, tasks, and responsibilities. So nice. With that, I will ask my fellow commissioners, do you have a motion for chair or vice chair, or both? I can do it if you really want. Commissioner Ocampo.
I have a question, actually.
I have an answer.
Is there, does it have to rotate? Or can we keep as is? Or is there a term limit? Is it, I know it's
That's
1
such
year,
a great
but
question.
okay.
So it is the custom to rotate. I will share with this group that I am just rounding out my 2nd year as chair because we ended up with several commissioners who had just joined us. And I believe Vice Chair Witcher, were you made vice chair in your like 2nd or 3rd meeting?
I believe it was the 4th.
Ah, the 4th. Excellent. So with that, I had the great pleasure of serving this body for 2 years in a row as the chair. So I think it would be appropriate for, you know, things to move along. With that,
I'll make a motion.
excellent.
I move that Commissioner I always mess up your last name, move into the chair and Commissioner Ocampo move into vice chair. Did I get that right?
I mean, if that's the motion you would like to make,
It's the motion.
then that's a motion. Great. With that, I want to ask Commissioner Trapp, do you not want to be vice chair? Okay, excellent. Then I will move on and say, let's call the vote on a nomination of vice chair, which are for chair, and Commissioner Ocampo for vice chair.
Are you seconding the motion?
I am.
Okay.
No. Please call the roll.
Okay. Chair Fields,
Aye.
Vice Chair Witcher,
Aye.
You can vote for
Commission-
yourself in a democracy.
I can abstain on myself.
Fine.
Commissioner Chiappi,
Aye.
Commissioner Ocampo,
Aye.
and Commissioner Trapp.
Aye.
Excellent. The motion passes and we've elected a new chair and vice chair. I wish them both the very best of luck and I'm here to answer questions about chairing meetings should you desire to ask them. And with that, I will ask, are there any reports or announcements?
I would just like to recognize the chair for her service over the last few years. There's really, you just manage a meeting better than anyone I've ever met. So just really appreciate your tenacity and to keep us on track and keep things moving. So much
Thank you.
appreciated, Chair.
Thank you.
I have a few brief announcements that I'll go over quickly. Fall registration started for residents yesterday and for non-residents will be starting tomorrow. We still have 2 concerts in the park left, one tomorrow night and the following week as well, and that will wrap up our concert series. On the heels of our last concert, we have a dog event called Central Bark in partnership with our Police Activities League. And that will be on Sunday, August 17th out at Fitzgerald Field from 12 to 3. And then we will also be hosting our September Nights on B down at the Pedestrian Mall. And those will be on Thursday, September 11th and Thursday, September 18th from 6 to 8. So hope you can join us for that. And finally, in September, just to give everybody a heads up, we had our voting and our movies were selected for our movie nights on the Friday nights in September. So we'll be at Central Park on the first Friday with Shrek. We will be at King Park with Despicable Me 4. How are there already 4 versions of that movie? We will be at Bay Meadows for Inside Out 2 on the third Friday. And on the last Friday, we will be at Beresford Park for Moana 2. So sequels was the hit this year. So I hope you guys can join us. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll just do a shout out for Bark at the Park. It was very cute last year, and I'm glad that it's now an annual event. With that, I will say thank you to everyone who attended. The audience has thinned a little, but thank you to those who made it through. And with that, we are adjourned.
Didn't it feel great to have a gavel for your last
Yes. No, they usually,